When my family gathered for our annual Thanksgiving dinner, they saw me as the same struggling single mom who had worked odd jobs since returning from military service. Right up until the moment I slid the financial statement across the table and watched their jaws drop. My sister Rachel's fork clattered against her plate, her designer sweater suddenly feeling small compared to the empire I'd built in silence over the past 15 years. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 47 years old, a former Army logistics specialist who served 2 tours in Afghanistan and the owner of a multi-million-dollar supply chain management company that nobody, not a single person in my family, knew existed. For years, I had carefully constructed a narrative of modest survival, picking up warehouse jobs, driving delivery trucks, and making just enough to keep a roof over my daughter Emma's head and pay the bills. The journey began in 2008, shortly after my second tour. While other veterans struggled to find their footing in civilian life, I saw an opportunity hidden in the chaos of military logistics. I understood something most people didn't: the intricate dance of moving supplies, the precision required to keep operations running smoothly. What seemed like bureaucratic nightmare to others was a symphony of potential to me. My first contract came through a chance meeting at a veterans job fair. A small defense contractor was struggling with their supply chain management, hemorrhaging money through inefficient processes. I approached their operations manager, my presentation meticulously prepared on a beat-up laptop I'd saved from my military deployments. My pitch was simple. I could save them millions by restructuring their logistics. They laughed at first. A woman in her early 30s, fresh out of military service, wearing a slightly worn blazer from a thrift store, talking about saving millions. But I didn't flinch. I walked them through my detailed analysis, breaking down every inefficiency, every potential cost-saving measure. By the end of that meeting, their skepticism had transformed into cautious interest. The first year was brutal. I worked nights as a warehouse supervisor, used every spare moment to develop my business plan, and invested every spare dollar into building my company. Emma was young then, barely 7, and I'd bring her to my small home office, setting her up with coloring books while I made late-night calls to potential clients. My family saw a different story. To them, I was struggling. My mother would call, worried about my financial stability. "Sarah," she'd say, "maybe you should go back to school, get a more stable job." My sister Rachel, who had married into a wealthy tech family, would passive-aggressively offer to help me find a good administrative position. Little did they know I was strategically building something extraordinary. Each small contract was a building block. I reinvested every penny, hired veterans who understood logistics, and developed a reputation for absolute reliability. When other supply chain management firms faltered, my company became the go-to solution for complex logistical challenges. By 2015, I had secured my first major government contract. The Department of Defense approached me after hearing about my innovative approach to supply chain management. They were impressed by my track record of efficiency and my unique understanding of military logistics. The contract was worth $5 million, more money than I had ever imagined possible. But success in the business world meant more than just making money. I was creating opportunities for other veterans, developing a company culture that valued precision, dedication, and teamwork. We weren't just moving supplies. We were building a community of professionals who understood the true meaning of mission and service. Emma grew up watching me work, though she never fully understood the scale of what I was building. To her, I was just a mom who worked hard and always made time for her softball games and school events. I deliberately kept my professional life separate, wanting to shield her from the pressures of my work. The decision to keep my success hidden wasn't just about modesty. It was a strategic choice. I had seen how sudden wealth could destroy families, create unrealistic expectations, and breed resentment. I wanted to build something sustainable, something real. My military training had taught me patience, strategic planning, and the importance of maintaining operational security. By 2020, my company had grown to employ over 200 people, primarily veterans with annual revenues exceeding $50 million. We had contracts with major government agencies, private defense contractors, and international logistics firms. Yet to my family, I was still the same Sarah, the veteran trying to make ends meet. That was about to change. As I sat at the Thanksgiving table, the financial statement in my hand represented more than just numbers. It was a testament to years of hard work, strategic planning, and unwavering determination. My family was about to learn that the struggling, single mom they thought they knew was actually a quietly successful entrepreneur who had been building an empire right under their noses. The room fell silent, forks suspended midair, glasses of wine forgotten, and I was about to tell them everything. The silence lasted exactly 17 seconds. Then my mother's china teacup crashed against the hardwood floor, shattering into 100 pieces, much like the illusion my family had maintained about my life. 50 million? Rachel's voice hit a pitch that could shatter glass. How is this even possible? My daughter Emma, now 22 and studying business administration, was the first to recover. She'd seen glimpses of my work, understood more than the rest of my family about the complexity of what I'd built. Mom's always been strategic, she said quietly, her eyes meeting mine with a mixture of pride and newfound understanding. The story of my success wasn't just about numbers. It was about survival, about reimagining what was possible after military service. When I returned from Afghanistan, the transition was brutal. Veterans' statistics painted a bleak picture: high unemployment, mental health challenges, difficulty integrating into civilian life. I refused to become another statistic. My military experience had taught me more than most business schools could. In logistics, a single miscalculation could mean life or death. Supply lines were the arteries of military operations. I understood efficiency wasn't just about saving money, it was about saving lives. That perspective became the foundation of Mitchell Global Logistics. My first real challenge came 3 months after returning from my second tour. I was working a night shift at a local warehouse, sorting packages, feeling the weight of my potential crushing me. The warehouse manager, a Vietnam veteran named Frank, saw something in me that I hadn't yet recognized. "You've got logistics in your blood," Frank told me one night during a coffee break. "Most people see a pile of boxes. You see a system waiting to be optimized." His words became a turning point. I started taking online courses, studying supply chain management during my breaks, after my shifts, late into the night while Emma slept. Every contract was a battle, every client a mission to be strategically approached and conquered. My sister Rachel had always been the family's golden child. Married to a tech entrepreneur, living in $1 million home in Silicon Valley, she'd built her identity on visible success. My quiet accumulation of wealth didn't fit her narrative of achievement. "How could you hide this?" she demanded, her manicured hand sweeping across the financial statement. "We thought you were struggling. Mom and Dad helped you with rent. We paid for Emma's school supplies." The irony wasn't lost on me. The same family that had sometimes treated my military service as an inconvenience, that had questioned my choices, was now confronting a success they couldn't comprehend. My mother, typically the peacemaker, surprised everyone. "Show us," she said firmly. "Show us how you did this." The next 3 hours were a masterclass in my journey. I walked them through my first contract, how I identified inefficiencies in military supply chains that no one else saw. I explained how Mitchell Global Logistics wasn't just a company. It was a mission to support veterans, to create opportunities where others saw only challenges. Emma pulled up my company's website on her laptop. Photographs of veteran employees, detailed breakdowns of our social impact, contracts with major government agencies. The visual evidence was overwhelming. "We don't just move supplies," I explained. We create ecosystems of efficiency. Every contract is an opportunity to help veterans transition, to show the world what we're capable of. Rachel's husband, Mark, a Silicon Valley executive, began asking technical questions. His skepticism transformed into genuine professional respect as I detailed our technological innovations, our proprietary logistics algorithms. But beneath the numbers and achievements, there was a deeper story. Each veteran we employed was a life transformed. Marcus, our head of operations, had struggled with PTSD after returning from Iraq. Now he managed a team of 50, his leadership skills honed by military discipline. Jessica, our lead data analyst, had been homeless after her Marine Corps service. Now she owned a home, was putting her children through college. My family was witnessing more than just a business success. They were seeing a mission, a way of reimagining what success could look like for veterans. "Why didn't you tell us?" my father asked, his voice soft. A retired high school teacher, he had always believed in hard work but struggled to understand my military background. I looked around the table. My sister's designer clothes, my mother's antique china, the comfortable suburban dining room, they represented a version of success built on visibility. My success had been different, quiet, strategic, purposeful. Some battles, I said, aren't meant to be announced. They're meant to be won. The revelation was just beginning. My family was about to learn that my greatest victories weren't measured in dollars, but in lives transformed, in opportunities created, in a mission far greater than any balance sheet could capture. The days following Thanksgiving became an unexpected journey of discovery for my family. What had begun as shock gradually transformed into a meticulous investigation of my life's work. My sister Rachel, always the most analytical, dove into research mode with the same intensity she applied to her husband's tech investments. I watched her one morning, hunched over her laptop in my home office, cross-referencing my company's contracts, tracing the complex web of relationships I'd built over 15 years. Emma sat beside her, explaining technical details with a confidence that surprised even me. Their collaboration was unexpected. Rachel had always maintained a cool distance from our side of the family, her Silicon Valley lifestyle seemingly worlds apart from our more modest existence. The first significant breakthrough came when Rachel uncovered the full extent of our veteran employment program. Mitchell Global Logistics wasn't just a business, it was a lifeline for hundreds of veterans struggling to transition to civilian life. Each contract represented more than a financial transaction. It was a carefully crafted opportunity for rehabilitation, education, and professional growth. "Do you realize," Rachel said, spreading documents across my dining room table, "that you've created a model that's being studied by government agencies as a potential template for veteran reintegration?" My father, typically reserved, began asking questions that revealed a depth of interest I'd never seen before. A high school teacher for 40 years, he understood the power of opportunity more than most. He'd spent his career opening doors for students who society often overlooked. "Tell me about Marcus," he said one evening. I knew exactly who he meant. Our head of operations, a veteran who had transformed from a soldier struggling with PTSD to a leader who now managed a team of 50. Marcus's story was typical of the veterans we supported. Returning from Iraq with significant challenges, he'd found himself unemployed, struggling to connect with civilian life. Many companies saw his military background as a liability. We saw it as a strength. I pulled out his employee file, a testament to human resilience. Military service records showed multiple commendations. Psychological evaluations detailed his challenges with PTSD. But what stood out was his transformation. Within our company, he'd not only found stability, but had become a mentor to other veterans, creating a support network that extended far beyond our corporate walls. Emma began documenting these stories. A journalism student with a passion for social impact, she saw the narrative potential in our work. "This isn't just a business story," she told me one night. This is about reimagining what's possible after service. My mother, who had always worried about my financial stability, started asking different questions. No longer concerned about my ability to survive, she wanted to understand the human impact of my work. "How many families have you helped?" she asked during a quiet moment, her hand resting on mine. The number was more significant than she could have imagined. Our veteran employment program had directly impacted over 500 families. Each veteran we employed represented not just a job, but a pathway to stability, education, and hope. Rachel's investigation uncovered something even more surprising. Major tech companies and government agencies were studying our operational model. We'd developed proprietary logistics algorithms that were revolutionizing supply chain management. What had started as a personal mission had become an innovative approach that challenged entire industry paradigms. "You've essentially created a new approach to both business and veteran support," Mark, Rachel's husband, explained during a family dinner. A venture capitalist with decades of experience, he was genuinely impressed. "Most companies see veteran hiring as a charitable act. You've proven it's a strategic advantage." The discovery wasn't just about my financial success. It was about uncovering a mission that had been quietly transforming lives. My family was beginning to understand that success wasn't about the money I'd accumulated, but about the opportunities I'd created. My military background had taught me that true victory isn't about individual achievement. It's about lifting others, creating systems that support collective success. Mitchell Global Logistics was more than a company. It was a mission, a way of reimagining what's possible when you combine strategic thinking with genuine human compassion. As December approached, bringing with it the reflection typical of year's end, my family gathered more frequently. The initial shock had transformed into something deeper, a collective understanding of a mission they had never seen, a success they had never imagined. Emma began compiling a documentary about the company, interviewing veterans whose lives had been transformed. Rachel started connecting me with potential investors who saw the broader impact of our work. My parents, once worried about my stability, now spoke about my company with pride. The discovery was just beginning. My family was about to learn that true success isn't measured in dollars, but in lives changed, in opportunities created, in the quiet revolution of supporting those who have served. The first real emotional confrontation came on a cold December evening, 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. My family had been processing my success, but unresolved tensions simmered beneath the surface. Rachel arrived unannounced, a manila folder clutched tightly in her hand, her perfectly tailored winter coat a stark contrast to the raw emotion in her eyes. "We need to talk about Mom and Dad," she said, dropping the folder on my kitchen counter. Inside were retirement documents, medical bills, financial statements that painted a picture of struggle I had been unaware of. My parents had always presented themselves as comfortable, middle class. My father's teacher's pension, my mother's part-time work at the local library, they'd seemed adequate. But the documents told a different story. Medical expenses from my father's recent heart procedure, property taxes that stretched their budget, small credit card debts they'd been quietly managing. "How long have they been struggling?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Rachel's laugh was bitter. "While you were building a multi-million-dollar company, they were choosing between paying for medication and keeping the heat on. I've been helping where I could, but my own finances aren't as stable as everyone thinks." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. I had been so focused on my mission, on supporting veterans, that I'd overlooked the most important veterans in my life, my own parents. My military training had taught me to be strategic, to see the larger mission. But I'd failed to see the mission closest to home. Every decision I'd made had been about creating opportunities for others, while my own family navigated financial uncertainty. The next day, I sat down with my parents. No more pretense, no more hiding. "I want to help," I said, spreading out their financial documents. not as a daughter offering charity, but as a partner in securing your future. My father, proud and stubborn, initially resisted. "We've managed just fine," he insisted, but the fight had gone out of his voice. My mother's response was different. She reached across the table, taking my hand. "Tell me everything," she said. "Not just about the money, about your journey." And so I did. I told them about the first contract, about the nights I'd spent building the business while Emma slept, about the veterans I'd helped, about the system I'd created that was changing lives, about the moments of doubt, the times I'd almost given up. The conversation lasted hours. My father, a history teacher who had always valued stories of perseverance, listened with tears in his eyes. My mother, who had worried about me constantly since my military service, began to understand the strategy behind my silence. Emma joined us, bringing documentation of the veteran stories she'd been collecting. Each narrative was a testament to resilience, veterans who had found purpose, stability, hope through Mitchell Global Logistics. "I didn't just build a company," I explained. "I built a support system, a way to bridge the gap between military service and civilian life." My father's perspective shifted dramatically. A teacher who had spent his career helping students find their path, he now saw my work as an extension of his own mission. "You're teaching," he said, "just in a different classroom." The emotional weight of years of misunderstanding began to dissolve. My family had seen me as the struggling single mom, the veteran who seemed to be barely getting by. Now they were seeing the strategic, determined woman who had built something extraordinary. Rachel's investigation continued, but now with a different motivation. No longer suspicious, she became an ally, using her tech industry connections to open new doors for the company. "We need to tell your story," she said one evening. "Not just to our family, but to the world." The confrontation wasn't just about revealing my financial success, it was about exposing the deeper truth, that success is about more than money. It's about purpose, about creating opportunities, about transforming lives. My mother pulled out old photographs. Me as a young soldier, as a new mother, struggling to find my way. "I always knew you were different," she said. "I just didn't know how." The conversation continued late into the night. My family was slowly understanding that my years of apparent struggle had been a carefully constructed mission. Every job, every contract, every strategic decision had been part of a larger plan. As dawn broke, something had fundamentally changed. The distance, the misunderstandings, the assumptions, all were washing away. My family was seeing me, truly, seeing me perhaps for the first time. "I'm sorry," I said, looking at my parents, "for not sharing this journey with you." My father's response was simple. "You have nothing to apologize for," he said. "You were fighting a different kind of battle. And you won." The transformation began in earnest during the week between Christmas and New Year's. What had started as a family revelation was quickly becoming a collaborative mission. My sister Rachel, leveraging her Silicon Valley connections, began introducing me to venture capitalists and social impact investors who were genuinely interested in our veteran support model. Mark, her husband, organized a series of meetings that would change everything. Tech entrepreneurs, retired military leaders, and philanthropists gathered in a conference room overlooking San Francisco Bay. They weren't just potential investors. They were potential allies in a mission larger than any single company. "Mitchell Global Logistics isn't just a supply chain management firm," Mark explained to the assembled group. "It's a blueprint for veteran reintegration." I watched as Emma documented the meetings, her journalism background capturing the nuanced conversations. She'd become more than just my daughter. She was now a strategic partner, understanding the depth of what we'd built. The support system expanded beyond my immediate family. Veterans I'd helped over the years began reaching out. sharing stories of transformation. Marcus, our head of operations, flew in from Chicago to speak at one of the meetings. His presentation was more than a corporate overview. It was a personal testimony of survival and success. When I returned from Iraq, Marcus told the room, his voice steady, I thought my life was over. PTSD had destroyed my civilian career. Sarah didn't just give me a job, she gave me a purpose. My father, sitting in the back of the room, watched with tears in his eyes. The teacher in him recognized something profound. Education wasn't just about classroom learning. It was about creating pathways to possibility. The medical challenges my parents had been facing became our next strategic focus. Rachel discovered that my company's health insurance could be extended to cover their medical expenses. But more than that, we developed a comprehensive support plan that went beyond financial assistance. This isn't charity, I explained to my parents. This is family. This is what we do. My mother, typically reserved, began to see the full picture of what I'd built. She started helping Emma compile the veteran stories, her library research skills, proving invaluable. Each narrative became a testament to resilience, to the power of strategic support. The Department of Veterans Affairs took notice. A senior official reached out, interested in studying our employment and support model. What had begun as a personal mission was becoming a potential national template for veteran reintegration. Emma's documentary project gained momentum. She interviewed veterans from every branch of the military, capturing stories of transformation. Each interview revealed the complex challenges veterans face and the innovative solutions we'd developed. It's not just about finding a job, Emma told me one evening. It's about finding a mission, a purpose. The support system extended in unexpected ways. My military contacts began providing strategic advice. Retired generals, logistics experts, even former commanders reached out, offering insights and connections. Rachel's technology network proved equally valuable. She connected us with AI and data analytics experts who could further refine our logistics algorithms. What had started as a family secret was becoming a collaborative innovation platform. The financial implications were significant. Potential. Investments began flowing in, not just as monetary support, but as strategic partnerships. Companies saw the value of our veteran-focused approach, a model that combined social impact with technological innovation. My father, the history teacher, began documenting the broader context. He saw our story as part of a larger narrative of veteran experiences, of American resilience. His academic perspective added depth to our mission. The support wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. My family was learning to see me differently. No longer the struggling single mom, but a strategic leader who had built something extraordinary. Thanksgiving had been a moment of revelation. Now, as the new year approached, we were building something more profound. A collective mission that went beyond any single company or family. We're just getting started, I told Emma one evening, looking out over the San Francisco Bay. She smiled, understanding the weight of those words. This wasn't just about a successful business. This was about reimagining what's possible when you combine strategic thinking with genuine human compassion. The support system had emerged, not just for me, but for hundreds of veterans who would find opportunity through our work. My family had become my greatest allies, transforming from skeptics to strategic partners in a mission far larger than any of us had imagined. As the clock ticked toward midnight on New Year's Eve, I realized we were writing a new chapter. Not just of my story or my company's story, but of a broader narrative of veteran support, of family, of unexpected possibilities. The strategic response began with a war room of an entirely different kind. My dining room transformed into a command center, covered with strategic maps, financial projections, and veteran success stories. Rachel brought her Silicon Valley planning skills. Mark contributed his venture capital insights, and Emma documented every strategic move with the precision of an investigative journalist. Our first strategic initiative targeted the systemic challenges veterans face in civilian employment. We weren't just going to tell our story. We were going to change the narrative entirely. Mitchell Global Logistics would become a blueprint for veteran reintegration, a model that could be replicated across industries. Marcus helped design a comprehensive veteran training program. Drawing from his own experiences with PTSD and career transition, we created a multi-tiered approach that addressed more than just job placement. Psychological support, skill translation, professional development. We were building a holistic support system. The Department of Veterans Affairs took notice. A delegation arrived, initially skeptical, but quickly becoming enthusiastic supporters. Our data-driven approach to veteran employment was unlike anything they had seen before. We weren't just placing veterans in jobs, we were creating sustainable career pathways. My father, the retired history teacher, began researching the broader context of veteran experiences. He uncovered historical patterns of veteran challenges, providing crucial contextual depth to our mission. His academic research became a critical component of our strategic approach, helping us understand the long-term societal impacts of veteran support. Financial strategy became our next critical focus. Rachel's connections in the tech world opened doors we never knew existed. Venture capitalists who had previously overlooked veteran-focused initiatives began to see the potential. Our proprietary logistics algorithms weren't just a business tool, they were a potential game-changer in supply chain management. This isn't just about veterans, Mark explained during a strategy session. This is about reimagining workforce, integration, about creating a model of employment that recognizes the unique skills veterans bring. Emma's documentary project evolved into a comprehensive media strategy. Each veteran's story became a powerful narrative tool, breaking down misconceptions about veteran employability. We weren't asking for sympathy, we were demonstrating extraordinary capability. The legal team we assembled was strategic in its composition. Veterans with legal backgrounds, experts in employment law, specialists in government contracting. We were building a comprehensive support infrastructure. Each team member brought not just professional expertise, but personal understanding of veteran challenges. Our technology division became a critical strategic asset. We developed AI-powered skill translation tools that could help veterans effectively communicate their military skills to civilian employers. What seemed like military jargon could now be precisely mapped to corporate job requirements. My mother, initially worried about my career, now became a critical support system. Her librarian's research skills proved invaluable in documenting veteran success stories, providing a human perspective to our data-driven approach. We created a scholarship program for children of veterans, understanding that support needed to be multi-generational. Each scholarship wasn't just financial assistance, it was a statement of long-term commitment to veteran families. The financial implications were significant. We weren't just growing a company, we were creating an ecosystem of veteran support. Investment inquiries came from unexpected sources: social impact funds, technology investors, even traditional defense contractors looking to improve their veteran hiring practices. Strategic partnerships became our priority. We began collaborating with universities to develop veteran-specific career transition programs. Tech companies saw the value of our veteran talent pool: disciplined, trained in complex problem-solving, adaptable to high-stress environments. Our logistics algorithms caught the attention of major corporations. What had started as a way to optimize military supply chains was now being explored as a potential revolutionary approach to business operations. Companies began seeing veterans not as charity cases, but as strategic assets. The psychological support component of our program became particularly innovative. We developed a comprehensive mental health support system that went beyond traditional employee assistance programs. PTSD support, family counseling, career transition therapy. We were addressing the whole person, not just the employee. As winter turned to spring, our strategic response took shape. We weren't just telling our story. We were rewriting the narrative of veteran employment. Each strategic move was carefully considered, each initiative designed to create lasting, meaningful change. We're building more than a company, I told my team during a strategy meeting. We're creating a movement. The strategic response had transformed from a family secret to a national conversation. Mitchell Global Logistics was no longer just my story. It was becoming a blueprint for veteran success, a model of what's possible when you combine strategic thinking with genuine human compassion. The battle was just beginning. But for the first time, we were fighting on our own terms. The major confrontation arrived unexpectedly on a Tuesday morning in early summer. A certified letter arrived, bearing the letterhead of a prominent Washington, D.C. law firm. The contents would challenge everything we had built. A competing logistics firm, threatened by our innovative approach and growing market share, had initiated a comprehensive legal challenge. They claimed our veteran employment model was a form of unfair competitive advantage, alleging that our government contracts were improperly secured. The lawsuit was meticulously crafted, designed to create maximum disruption. They attacked our hiring practices, our contract acquisition methods, and the very foundation of our veteran support program. Each paragraph was a calculated attempt to dismantle the mission we had carefully constructed. Marcus was the first to respond. As our head of operations and a decorated veteran, he understood the strategic implications immediately. "They're not just attacking the company," he said during an emergency meeting. "They're attacking the very idea that veterans can be competitive in the corporate world." Our legal team assembled like a special ops unit. Rachel's connections brought in some of the most formidable employment law experts in the country. My daughter Emma began documenting every aspect of the confrontation, understanding the historical significance of this moment. The timing was deliberate. Our company was preparing for a major expansion, with several new government contracts on the horizon. The lawsuit was designed to create doubt, to make potential partners hesitate. But we had been preparing for battles far more complex than this our entire lives. My military background kicked into high gear. This wasn't just a legal challenge, it was a strategic operation. We began a comprehensive counteroffensive that would address not just the legal allegations, but the broader narrative about veteran employment. Emma's documentary project became our primary communication strategy. We began releasing carefully documented stories of veteran success, each narrative a direct counter to the lawsuit's implications. Marcus's journey from military service to corporate leadership became a powerful centerpiece. The Department of Veterans Affairs, which had been monitoring our work, became an unexpected ally. Their support came not through direct intervention, but through a series of public statements highlighting the innovative nature of our veteran employment model. My father, the retired history teacher, provided critical historical context. He began writing op-eds that placed our company's approach in a broader narrative of veteran contributions to American society. Each piece was a strategic missile, challenging the fundamental assumptions of our opponents. The legal discovery process became our opportunity. We knew our documentation was impeccable. Every hiring decision, every contract, every training program had been meticulously recorded. What seemed like a threat became our greatest opportunity to demonstrate our integrity. Rachel's technology background proved crucial. We developed a comprehensive data visualization of our veteran employment impact, showing not just our hiring numbers, but the broader economic and social benefits of our approach. Each graph, each statistic was a weapon in our strategic arsenal. The confrontation expanded beyond the courtroom. Media outlets began picking up the story. intrigued by the David versus Goliath narrative. Our opponents had expected to silence us. Instead, they had given us a national platform. Marcus began speaking at veteran conferences, sharing our approach. His presentations weren't defensive. They were a bold statement of our mission. Each appearance challenged the fundamental misconceptions about veteran employability. My mother, typically reserved, became an unexpected strategic asset. Her connections in the local community, built through years of library work, began spreading our story. She understood the power of personal narrative in a way no corporate strategy could replicate. The financial implications were significant. Some investors initially became nervous, but our transparent approach quickly turned uncertainty into support. We released comprehensive financial reports, showing not just our profitability, but our social impact. Emma's documentary began to take shape as a powerful counter-narrative. Each veteran's story became a testament to resilience, to the extraordinary capabilities of those who had served. What was meant to be a legal challenge became a platform for telling a much larger story. As summer progressed, the legal battle became a referendum on veteran employment. Our opponents had expected to break us. Instead, they had given us a national stage. Each court filing, each media interview became an opportunity to challenge existing narratives about veterans in the workplace. The confrontation reached its peak during a congressional hearing. Called to address the allegations, we instead presented a comprehensive model of veteran employment that caught the attention of lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. "We're not just defending a company," I told the committee. "We're defending the potential of every veteran who has served this country." The lawsuit became our greatest opportunity. What was meant to destroy us would ultimately define us. The battle was far from over, but we were fighting on our terms, with our most powerful weapon, the truth about veteran capabilities. The revelation came not in a courtroom, but in a small conference room in Washington, D.C. Stripped of legal jargon and corporate posturing, the truth about Mitchell Global Logistics emerged as something far more profound than anyone had anticipated. Our comprehensive data presentation began to deconstruct decades of misconceptions about veteran employment. Each slide was a surgical strike against preconceived notions. Veterans weren't just employees. They were strategic assets with capabilities that far exceeded traditional corporate understanding. Marcus stood at the center of this revelation. His personal journey became a living deconstruction of veteran stereotypes. From a soldier struggling with PTSD to a corporate leader who had transformed an entire employment model, he embodied the potential that most corporations failed to recognize. The Department of Veterans Affairs commissioned an independent study of our employment model. What they discovered went beyond standard corporate metrics. Our veteran employees demonstrated 40% higher retention rates, 35% more innovative problem-solving capabilities, and significantly lower workplace conflict compared to industry standards. Emma's documentary, which had been quietly developing throughout our legal battle, became a critical tool of revelation. Each veteran's story peeled back layers of misunderstanding. These weren't just employment narratives. They were stories of human resilience, of transformation, of rediscovering purpose. The financial deconstruction was equally revelatory. Our proprietary logistics algorithms, developed from military supply, chain expertise, were revolutionary. Tech companies that had initially viewed our approach with skepticism now saw us as potential acquisition targets. My father's historical research provided critical context. He traced the long-standing misconceptions about veteran employability, showing how societal narratives had systematically undervalued military experience. Each historical analysis was a carefully constructed argument for recognizing veteran potential. Rachel's technology connections proved instrumental. She brought in data scientists who could quantify what we had always known intuitively. Veterans possessed a unique set of skills that made them extraordinary employees: leadership, adaptability, stress management, team coordination. These weren't just military skills, they were corporate superpowers. The legal challenge that had threatened to destroy us became our greatest opportunity for revelation. Each court document, each deposition became a platform for exposing the true value of veteran employment. Our psychological support program became a model studied by corporate HR departments nationwide. We weren't just helping veterans find jobs, we were creating a holistic approach to professional and personal transformation. The technology division we had quietly developed became a revelation in itself. Our AI-powered skill translation tools could precisely map military experience to corporate job requirements. What had once been seen as incompatible languages were now seamlessly translated. Marcus developed a training program that became a blueprint for veteran employment. It wasn't just about job placement. It was about comprehensive life transition. Mental health support, skill development, family integration. We were addressing the whole person. My mother's contribution came through unexpected channels. Her library research uncovered historical narratives of veteran contributions that had been systematically overlooked. Each story was a piece of a larger puzzle, challenging the narrow views of veteran capabilities. The financial implications were staggering. Investors who had initially been cautious now saw us as a potential paradigm shift in employment strategies. Our model wasn't just profitable, it was demonstrably superior to traditional hiring approaches. Emma's documentation became a critical historical record. She wasn't just creating a documentary, she was preserving a moment of fundamental social transformation. Each interview, each piece of data was a testament to veteran potential. The congressional hearing became a turning point. What was meant to be an investigation into our practices became a national conversation about veteran employment. Lawmakers from both parties began to see the potential of our approach. Our opponents' legal challenge began to crumble under the weight of evidence. Each attempt to discredit us only served to highlight the extraordinary capabilities of veteran employees. What was meant to be a takedown became a launching pad. The revelation extended beyond our company. Other corporations began to study our model, recognizing that veteran employment wasn't a charitable act, it was a strategic advantage. Our approach became a template for inclusive, high-performance hiring. As summer turned to fall, the deconstruction was complete. We had dismantled not just the legal challenge, but the fundamental misconceptions about veteran employment. What remained was a clear, powerful vision of veteran potential. We're not just changing a company, I told our team during a strategy meeting. We're changing how society views service, potential, and human capability. The revelation was total. What had begun as a family secret, a hidden business, had become a national conversation about value, potential, and the extraordinary capabilities of those who had served. The personal transformation was never just about business. It was about identity, about understanding who I truly was beyond the roles of mother, veteran, and now unexpected entrepreneur. My military service had always been a defining part of my life, but I had never fully understood its deeper meaning, until now. Each challenge, each strategic decision with Mitchell Global Logistics was a continuation of the training I'd received in the Army. Discipline, resilience, seeing potential where others saw limitations. Marcus helped me understand this most profoundly. During one of our late-night strategy sessions, he shared something that would reshape my entire perspective. Service doesn't end when you take off the uniform, he said. It's a way of seeing the world, of creating opportunities where others see obstacles. Emma's documentary project became a mirror reflecting my own transformation. As she interviewed veterans, captured their stories, she was also documenting my journey. From the struggling single mom working warehouse jobs to the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, my story was becoming a narrative of unexpected potential. My relationship with my family underwent a radical transformation. Rachel, once dismissive of my struggles, had become my most strategic ally. Her tech industry connections and analytical mind complemented my military strategic thinking in ways we could never have anticipated. My parents, who had worried about my financial stability, for years now saw me as a leader. My father began incorporating my story into his history classes, using Mitchell Global Logistics as a case study of veteran resilience. My mother started volunteering with veteran support organizations, inspired by the work we were doing. The psychological transformation was perhaps the most profound. I had spent years hiding my true capabilities, believing that survival was the ultimate goal. Now I understood that survival was just the beginning. True success was about creating opportunities, about transforming systemic limitations. Our veteran support program became a reflection of my personal journey. Each initiative was deeply personal, addressing the challenges I had faced, the obstacles I had overcome. We weren't just creating job opportunities, we were reimagining what was possible for veterans. Jonathan, a veteran who had struggled with PTSD, became a key leader in our psychological support division. His work was a testament to the idea that personal challenges could be transformed into professional strengths. His team developed support programs that went far beyond traditional corporate wellness initiatives. The financial transformation was almost secondary to the personal growth. Money had never been the goal, purpose was. Each contract, each successful veteran placement was a victory that went beyond monetary value. My daughter Emma's perspective became increasingly important. She saw my transformation not as a sudden change, but as the unfolding of a potential that had always existed. Her documentary captured the nuanced journey of a woman rediscovering her own capabilities. The military had taught me strategic thinking, but entrepreneurship taught me something more: the power of human potential. Each veteran we supported was a reminder that limitations are often just narratives waiting to be challenged. My approach to leadership transformed completely. I was no longer the person trying to survive, trying to fit into predefined roles. I became someone who defined roles, who created opportunities, who challenged existing narratives about veteran capabilities. The personal transformation extended to my understanding of family. My family was no longer just a support system. They were strategic partners. Rachel's business acumen, my father's historical perspective, Emma's documentary skills, we had become a collaborative unit that was changing narratives. Our veteran support program became a reflection of this personal growth. We developed initiatives that addressed not just employment, but holistic life transformation. Mental health support, skill development, family integration, we were addressing the whole person. The congressional hearing became a personal turning point. Standing before lawmakers, I was no longer the struggling veteran trying to make ends meet. I was a leader, a strategist, someone who had transformed personal challenges into a national conversation about veteran potential. My relationship with myself underwent the most significant transformation. I had spent years believing that my worth was defined by my ability to survive, to keep my daughter fed and housed. Now I understood that survival was just the beginning of potential. The psychological support we developed for veterans was deeply personal. Each program was a reflection of challenges I had faced: the isolation after military service, the struggle to find purpose, the challenge of reimagining oneself in civilian life. As the year progressed, my personal transformation became increasingly clear. I was no longer defined by the roles others had assigned me: single mom, veteran, struggling worker. I had become the architect of my own narrative, the creator of opportunities. We're not just changing careers, I told our team during a strategy meeting. We're changing how society understands potential, resilience, and the extraordinary capabilities of those who have served. The personal transformation was complete. What had begun as a hidden business a family secret, had become a national movement about human potential, about seeing beyond limitations, about the extraordinary possibilities that exist when we challenge existing narratives. The reconstruction of our lives began quietly, almost imperceptibly. It wasn't a dramatic overhaul, but a careful rebuilding of everything we thought we knew about success, family, and purpose. Our company headquarters moved to a new location, a renovated warehouse in an area of the city primarily populated by veteran-owned businesses. The building itself became a symbol of transformation. Where once there were empty industrial spaces, now stood a vibrant ecosystem of veteran entrepreneurship. Emma's documentary project evolved into a comprehensive media platform. We launched a streaming channel dedicated to veteran stories, not just of struggle, but of extraordinary achievement. Each narrative was carefully curated, showing the multifaceted experiences of veterans beyond the typical narratives of trauma or heroism. Marcus led the development of our veteran entrepreneurship incubator. We weren't just providing jobs. We were creating a pathway for veterans to become business owners themselves. The program provided comprehensive support, from business plan development to financial backing, from mentorship to psychological support. My relationship with my family underwent a complete reconstruction. Family dinners became strategy sessions. Rachel's tech expertise, my operational background, my father's historical perspective, we were no longer just relatives, but a collaborative unit with a shared mission. The financial reconstruction was equally strategic. We developed a unique investment model that prioritized veteran-owned businesses. Our venture capital arm became known for identifying and supporting veteran entrepreneurs who were often overlooked by traditional funding sources. Our psychological support program expanded beyond our company. We developed a nationwide network of mental health professionals specializing in veteran transitions. The program addressed not just employment challenges, but the holistic life transition veterans face. The technology division we had quietly developed became a model for inclusive innovation. Our AI-powered skill translation tools were now being used by major corporations to better understand and integrate veteran talent. What had begun as an internal tool became an industry-wide solution. My mother's contribution became increasingly significant. She developed a scholarship program for children of veterans, focusing on educational opportunities that went beyond traditional support. Each scholarship was more than financial aid. It was the investment in future potential. Legal challenges that had threatened to destroy us became our greatest opportunity for systemic change. We used every court filing, every hearing as a platform to challenge existing narratives about veteran employment. Our legal team became known for transformative approaches to employment law. Jonathan, our lead psychological support specialist, developed a comprehensive transition program that was now being studied by universities and corporate HR departments. The program addressed the complex psychological challenges veterans face, from identity reconstruction to skill translation. Our company's approach to veteran employment became a national model. Universities began developing coursework based on our integration strategies. Government agencies started implementing our holistic approach to veteran support. The financial implications were profound. We had created an entirely new economic ecosystem that recognized the unique capabilities of veterans. Our investment model proved that supporting veteran entrepreneurs was not just socially responsible, it was economically strategic. Emma's work expanded beyond documentation. She became a key strategist, using her journalistic skills to shape our communication approach. Her ability to tell compelling human stories became a critical tool in changing societal perceptions about veterans. Rachel's technology connections brought unexpected opportunities. Major tech companies began consulting with us about inclusive hiring practices. Our proprietary algorithms for skill translation became a sought-after solution for diverse workforce integration. The congressional hearing that had once threatened us now became a regular point of consultation. Lawmakers from both parties sought our input on veteran support legislation. We had transformed from a potential legal target to a national resource. Our veteran support program became a comprehensive life transformation platform. We addressed everything from mental health support to entrepreneurship training, from family integration to psychological resilience. It was no longer just about employment. It was about holistic life reconstruction. The physical space of our headquarters reflected our approach. We transformed the traditional corporate environment, creating a space that honored veteran experiences while looking firmly toward the future. Each design element told a story of transformation, of potential, realized. My personal reconstruction was perhaps the most profound. I was no longer the person defined by survival, by struggling to make ends meet. I had become a leader, a strategist, someone who could see potential where others saw limitations. As the year drew to a close, we hosted a national conference on veteran employment and entrepreneurship. Veterans from across the country came together, not as a group defined by past challenges, but as a community of extraordinary potential. We're not just rebuilding careers, I told the assembled group. We're reconstructing how society understands potential, resilience, and the extraordinary capabilities of those who have served. The reconstruction was complete. What had begun as a hidden business, a family secret, had become a national movement, about human potential, about seeing beyond limitations, about the extraordinary possibilities that exist when we challenge existing narratives. The winter solstice brought with it a moment of profound reflection. Our annual company gathering was more than a celebration. It was a testament to the journey we had undertaken. Veterans from every branch of service, from every background, filled the converted warehouse that now served as our headquarters. Marcus stood beside me, presenting the year's impact report. The numbers were staggering. Over 500 veterans successfully transitioned to new careers, 78 veteran-owned businesses launched, 42 scholarships awarded to children of veterans. But the statistics were just the surface of a much deeper transformation. Emma's documentary had become more than a project. It was now a comprehensive media platform that told nuanced stories of veteran experiences. Each narrative challenged the simplistic heroism or victimhood narratives that had dominated public perception. These were stories of complexity, of resilience, of extraordinary human potential. My relationship with my family had become our greatest strategic asset. Rachel's tech expertise, my operational background, my father's historical perspective, we had become a collaborative unit that was changing national conversations about veteran support. What had once been a family of individual pursuits was now a unified mission. The psychological transformation went far beyond employment. Our support program had become a holistic life reconstruction platform. We addressed mental health, family, dynamics, skill translation, entrepreneurial development. We weren't just helping veterans find jobs, we were helping them rediscover their purpose. Jonathan, our lead psychological support specialist, shared a breakthrough in our veteran transition methodology. We had developed an approach that recognized trauma not as a limitation, but as a source of unique strength. Post-traumatic growth became more than a concept. It was a lived experience for our veterans. My mother's scholarship program had expanded beyond our initial vision. Each scholarship was now a comprehensive support system, mentorship, mental health support, career guidance. We were investing not just in individual education, but in entire family ecosystems. The technology we had developed became a model for inclusive innovation. Our AI-driven skill translation tools were now being used by major corporations across multiple industries. What had begun as an internal solution was now transforming workforce integration nationwide. The legal challenges that had once threatened to destroy us had become our greatest platform for systemic change. Every court filing, Every hearing became an opportunity to challenge existing narratives about veteran capabilities. We had transformed potential destruction into a mechanism for national dialogue. As the year drew to a close, we received an unexpected invitation. The White House wanted to study our veteran support model as a potential national template. What had begun as a personal mission had become a national conversation about human potential. My personal journey was reflected in every veteran we supported. I remembered the days of struggling as a single mom, working warehouse jobs, feeling invisible. Now, I stood as a testament to the possibility of transformation. Each veteran's story was, in some way, my own story. Rachel's technology connections had opened doors we never imagined. Major tech companies were now consulting with us about inclusive hiring practices. Our approach to workforce integration was being studied as a model of innovation and social responsibility. The congressional hearing that had once threatened us had become a regular point of consultation. Lawmakers from both parties sought our input on veteran support legislation. We had transformed from a potential legal target to a national resource. Emma's work had become more than documentation. She was now a key strategic voice, using her journalistic skills to shape national conversations about veteran experiences. Her ability to tell compelling human stories had become a critical tool for social change. Our veteran entrepreneurship incubator had become a beacon of hope. We weren't just providing jobs, we were creating pathways for veterans to become business owners, to create their own opportunities. Each business launched was a small revolution. The financial model we had developed proved that supporting veteran entrepreneurs was not just socially responsible, it was economically strategic. Our investment approach challenged traditional venture capital methodologies, showing the extraordinary potential of veteran-led businesses. As we gathered for our year-end reflection, I looked around the room. Marcus, Jonathan, Rachel, Emma, my parents. We were no longer just individuals. We were a collective force of transformation. Each person represented a different piece of a larger mission. The physical space of our headquarters told our story. Walls decorated with veteran success stories, meeting rooms named after veterans who had overcome extraordinary challenges, a work environment that honored service while looking firmly toward the future. We're not just changing careers, I told the assembled group. We're changing how society understands potential, resilience, and the extraordinary capabilities of those who have served. The reflection was both an ending and a beginning. What had started as a hidden business, a family secret, had become a national movement about human potential. We had learned that limitations are often just narratives waiting to be challenged, and that true transformation happens when we dare to see beyond them. As spring arrived, bringing with it new beginnings, I found myself standing on the balcony of our headquarters, overlooking the city that had been both witness and catalyst to our transformation. The journey from a hidden business to a national movement of veteran support seemed both impossibly long and incredibly brief. Our annual Veteran Entrepreneurship Conference had become a landmark event. This year, over 1,000 veterans gathered, not as survivors, but as innovators, leaders, and creators of extraordinary possibilities. Each story shared was a testament to the power of reimagining potential. Marcus took the stage, his presentation a powerful narrative of transformation. He shared his own journey from a soldier struggling with PTSD to a leader who had helped redesign how society views veteran capabilities. His story was no longer about overcoming limitations, but about discovering unprecedented strengths. Emma's documentary had evolved into a comprehensive media platform that was changing national conversations. Major networks were now licensing our content, bringing veteran stories to millions. Each narrative challenged existing perceptions, showing the multifaceted experiences of those who had served. My family had become the ultimate strategic unit. Rachel's technology insights, my operational expertise, my father's historical perspective. We were no longer just relatives, but a collaborative force for social change. Our Thanksgiving dinners had transformed from awkward family gatherings to strategic planning sessions. The technology we had developed was now being studied by universities nationwide. Our AI-driven skill translation tools had become a model for inclusive workforce integration. Major corporations were redesigning their hiring approaches based on our veteran support methodologies. Jonathan's psychological support program had expanded beyond our initial vision. We were now working with universities to develop comprehensive transition support for veterans. The program addressed not just employment challenges, but holistic life transformation, mental health, skill development, family integration. Our scholarship program had become a comprehensive support ecosystem. Each scholarship was now a full support system: mentorship, mental health resources, career guidance. We were investing in entire family trajectories, not just individual education. The legal challenges that had once threatened to destroy us had become our greatest platform for systemic change. We had transformed potential destruction into a mechanism for national dialogue about veteran capabilities. Legislation was being drafted based on our innovative approaches. As we prepared for our next phase, an unexpected invitation arrived. The United Nations was interested in studying our veteran support model as a potential global template for workforce integration and social support. What had begun as a personal mission was now being recognized as a global innovation. My mother's work with veteran families had become a critical component of our approach. She had developed a nationwide network of support, addressing the complex challenges faced by veteran families. Her work demonstrated that supporting veterans meant supporting entire family ecosystems. The financial model we had developed was now being studied by economic think tanks. We had proven that supporting veteran entrepreneurs was not just socially responsible, it was an economic imperative. Our investment approach was challenging traditional venture capital methodologies. Rachel's technology connections had opened doors we never imagined. We were now consulting with global technology companies about inclusive hiring practices. Our approach to workforce integration was being seen as a model of innovation and social responsibility. Emma had become more than a documentarian. She was now a key strategic voice in national conversations about veteran experiences. Her ability to tell compelling human stories had become a critical tool for social change, bridging gaps of understanding and perception. The congressional hearing that had once threatened us had become a regular point of consultation. Lawmakers from both parties sought our input on veteran support legislation. We had transformed from a potential legal target to a national resource for understanding veteran potential. As I looked at the team gathered around me, Marcus, Jonathan, Rachel, Emma, my parents, I understood that our journey was about more than business success. We had created a movement that challenged fundamental societal perceptions about potential, about service, about what it means to transform challenge into opportunity. Our veteran entrepreneurship incubator had become a beacon of hope. We weren't just creating jobs, we were creating entire ecosystems of opportunity. Each business launched was a small revolution. Each veteran supported was a narrative of extraordinary possibility. We're not just changing careers, I told our team during our strategic planning session. We're changing how society understands human potential, resilience, and the extraordinary capabilities of those who have served. The reflection was both an ending and a beginning. What had started as a hidden business, a family secret, had become a global movement about human potential. We had learned that limitations are often just narratives waiting to be challenged, and that true transformation happens when we dare to see beyond them. As the sun set on another remarkable year, I understood that our journey was far from over. We were just getting started.